everybody, it's Mrs. Sprouse, and this is part 2 of your tutorial on how to do the assignment for the things they carry. I really wanted to talk a little bit more about the actual text, and I ran out of time and couldn't get my text to work earlier because it was still loading. So now it's working, and we're going to do a little bit of discussion on Chapter 1. Okay, as you remember from the first video, we're looking at Chapter 1 for the author's use of ambiguity. And we're going to be looking at the ways in which he uses ambiguity in regards to the word carry in Chapter 1. So I'm going to go over here to the text now. I'm going to load that up. All right, so this is my PDF of the things they carry, and so this is Chapter 1. So when you start reading, the narrator, Tim O'Brien, is going to be talking about Lieutenant Jimmy Cross and how Lieutenant Jimmy Cross is carrying a crush from a girl that he knows back home. Remember, Jimmy's at war in Vietnam. And so he talks about the letters. Right away, we see that Jimmy is carrying something, and he's carrying these letters. Let me get my highlighter here. So we see the word carried right away. And all through this chapter, the narrator talks about all of the different things that the people carry. And so this is really just all about Jimmy and his thoughts and his desires for Martha. Okay? And then here in the next paragraph, the things they carried were largely determined by necessity. Okay, so we have that idea of carried again. And here the narrator is going to go on in extreme detail about what these men are physically carrying with them to war. Okay, so you're going to read all of this about what they're carrying. And you should be thinking to yourself, why are they carrying all these things? Now, he tells us that what he's going to talk about here are necessities, items that these guys have to carry in order to survive and do the job that they are meant to do. Okay, so notice as you're reading, like, how many times the word carried is shown in this section, because obviously this is the focus. That's why this chapter is called The Things That They Carried. Okay, so you're going to pay attention to all of the times you see this word in its different forms being shared and talked about here. And you're going to be thinking about, why is he spending all of this time talking about these items that these guys are carrying? Why can't he just say, they carried a lot of stuff? You know, because when we write, that's what we say. Oh, and I carried all my stuff. But then your reader is left wondering, well, what stuff were you carrying? And so the author decides to really spell out all of these things. And he does it for a reason. He really wants his readers to feel all of these things that the men are carrying. Okay? And then he tells us some military terms. To carry something was to hump it. Okay, so that's the vernacular or the diction or the words that military use when they carry something. They hump it. Now, that word has different meanings today, but we're remembering this in the context in which it was written, which was during the Vietnam era. Okay? So then he goes on to talk about, again, almost everyone humped photographs. That means everyone carried photographs, okay? So get your mind out of the gutter. They're carrying their photographs. So again, you should be thinking to yourself, why are the guys carrying photographs? And what else does this show us that they're carrying? Do you get what I mean? They are physically carrying photographs, but then what are they emotionally carrying along with those photographs? Right? We don't usually carry around pictures for no reason. There's usually some emotional baggage or some emotional things that we're carrying along with those photographs. So this is what you critical thinkers do. They think beyond the literal carrying of pictures, and they think a little bit, they transcend or go beyond that idea to think about what else could this be showing us about these men, about their physical state of their physical state and their mental state. Okay? So you're going to go through this chapter and you're going to think about all of the different things that this word carry could mean. All of the ambiguous ideas that the author is trying to get us to really feel with all of the things that the men are carrying. Think about yourself at school when you're carrying all of your things. When you're wearing your camis, and you're wearing those heavy boots, and you're wearing your cover, and you're wearing and carrying your backpack and your binder and all of these things, and how you feel. And it's like 85 degrees outside and the sun's beating down on you. Well, you need to think about these men and where they are. They're in the Vietnam jungle, okay? And they're carrying a lot more than what you're carrying to school when you really read this and feel what they're carrying. And then along with that, what might they also be carrying if they're at war, if they're in a strange place in a jungle, okay? So again, as you read, you're thinking about all of these different connotations, all of these different associations that the word carry is having in this chapter. Okay? So again, look at all, and I'm skipping a lot of them, but look at all of the times this word is repeated. So this is a rhetorical strategy. A writing strategy is repetition, but for a purpose. He's not repeating the word carried because he doesn't have a good vocabulary. Okay, Tim O'Brien has an amazing vocabulary, but he is repeating this word. He is using this repetition purposely for a reason, to get you to continually hear this word hammering in your head like a drum. And because that feeling, that noise in your head, that repetition, that kind of lullaby, as we continue to hear it repeated, it's creating something inside of us. It should be. This is the purpose of the repetition. So as you go through, this is what you're doing. You're looking and you're reading and you're trying to figure out all of the connotations and all of the ideas associated with this idea of repetition. And then we're going to go back here. Okay? So then after you read the chapter and after you're thinking about what are you noticing about the ambiguity or the way he's using the term carried? Okay, so remember, we're focusing on the word carry or carried. What are all of the different ways he's using it? What could he mean through his use of this word? And then as you go here, you're trying to think of a message. What is the author trying to teach us about people who are in situations like these men are in, or in similar situations? Again, not at war, not in Vietnam, but when would we maybe have to carry a lot of physical things? When might we have to carry a lot of emotional things? And so what is the author trying to teach us through this chapter? Okay, so I hope this tutorial helps you as you go through chapter 1, and then as you, on your own, go through chapter 2, thinking about Jimmy and his personality and his character developing. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow in class. And again, if you have any questions as you read, please feel free to ask me in class. We can spend a few minutes doing this. Have a good night. Bye-bye.